Greg says there's a long-running series of girls' books called the Slumber Pal series, which was good for the first 30 books or so, until the author ran out of ideas. I feel like this has to be a parody of the Babysitter's Club series, which some people think went downhill in the 30s when ghostwriters took over. The Wimpy Kid book series is over twice as long now as it was when this book was written. We'll see what Wimpy Kid number 30 is like when it comes out in 2035.
Argo Fump Book Review, Argo Fump Book Review.
Greg's friend Rowley is officially dating Abigail Brown. This annoys Greg to no end. Rowley won't stop talking about Abigail, and now Rowley acts differently. He'd rather walk to school with his girlfriend than be Greg's dog poop detector. Can you imagine? Worst of all, Rowley now carries Abigail's school books. That means Greg has to carry his own books. A wimpy kid like Greg can't carry heavy books. I was kind of hoping for jokes where Greg tries to date an athletic girl who can lift all of his books with one hand, but he does not. The boys at Greg's lunch table gross Abigail out by playing around with French fry breath and eating food off the ground. 5-second rule! Abigail and Rowley move to a couples table instead. That's about the last Greg sees of Rowley until the end of the book. I kind of wish Rowley appeared regularly instead of disappearing for like 150 pages. Greg tries to find new people to hang out with. He fits in best with the gossipy group, but they don't want him to join, probably because Greg's so embarrassing, he's a constant source of gossip. Greg is so desperate for friends, he uses the school's Find a Friend station. That backfires when a weird teacher tries to hang out with him. The school tries to encourage nice behavior by giving hero points to kids who are good. Kids abuse the system by only being nice when a teacher's around. A huge counterfeiting ring starts up, and it gets so out of control that the hero point system is cancelled. That's practically the same thing that happened with the Mom Bucks story in the second book. Greg is excited to get new shoes for the first time. Even though he's paranoid about getting them dirty, he somehow fails to notice when he steps in dog poop. This causes a distraction in class. Greg is forced to wear the weird teacher's shoes. Greg tries to make friends with Fregley, which goes poorly. Fregley has trouble dressing himself. He misunderstands the 5-second rule and tries to eat Greg's hand. Fregley throws Greg's school books away when some kids chase them. Fregley does a trick where he chews food with his belly button. Humorously, this makes Fregley so popular that Greg is not cool enough to hang out with him anymore. Mom's family is coming over for Easter. Remember how Dad's family is a bunch of strange men? Well, Mom's family is a bunch of strange women. Aunt Gretchen's kids are the worst of the bunch. One ends up in the hospital while the other shaves his head. He later calls the police to have Dad arrested because Dad doesn't have enough ketchup. Easter is better than last year when Greg blew chocolate milk out of his nose after thinking of a fart joke. Mom's relatives realize Meemaw accidentally hid her valuable wedding ring inside an Easter egg. Easter is kind of ruined when everyone greedily searches for the egg. Greg finds a magic 8-ball. Oh, I just realized this is book number 8 of the series. That's why he's got a magic 8-ball. Oh, it makes sense now. Greg uses the magic 8-ball to make all of his important life decisions, which works surprisingly well. It leads him to Mom's closet, where he discovers she lied about finding his lost stuffed monkey. She bought 5 identical stuffed monkeys. Mom also has parenting books, including one about reverse psychology. Greg tries that trick on his parents. He pretends he doesn't want a phone because it's too much responsibility. This trick works like a charm. Mom instantly gives Greg her old phone. It does end up being too much responsibility for Greg. He drops it in the toilet and ruins it in less than an hour. The Magic 8 Ball says to join the Yearbook Club, which needs a photographer. Greg takes a bunch of pictures. He writes silly captions and edits the pictures in funny ways. Greg's fun comes to an end when he has to take the yearbook photos. Abigail and Rowley were voted cutest couple. Greg has to take pictures of them being cute together. Gag! Greg is excited to find his old body blanket, which he and Roderick loved wearing. It lets them fall asleep anywhere. Greg tries wearing it to school, but he gets way too hot and he's stuck inside when the zipper breaks. I'm surprised none of the teachers noticed. It's pretty obvious Greg is wearing blanket pajamas. Greg tries using his magic 8 ball on a true or false test. The teacher accuses him of trying to cheat. Which, okay, he totally is. Greg is sent to the office, where we learn Greg has not done any homework in the past 100 pages, ever since Fregley threw his books away. Greg, why didn't you tell someone? Greg has a big push to improve his grades, and there's a sweet moment where Mom types up his science project notes for him. The Magic 8 Ball's broken. The final time Greg tries using it, he finds Meemaw's valuable ring. He hides it in Mom's closet, just in case, I don't know, their house gets destroyed and they need to pay for it to be rebuilt. Things start to wrap up when Abigail dumps Rowley. Aww. It turns out she never liked Rowley that much. She was only dating him to make her ex jealous. Poor Rowley. At first, Greg says he and Rowley are better off not being friends. The next week, Greg asks Rowley if he wants to hang out. Just like that, the two of them are best friends again. Greg figures he'll probably have another fight someday, but for now, they're cool. The end. Post-book follow-up. I'm not so sure about that ending with Rowley. There's a surprisingly serious scene of them never being friends again, followed by a just kidding, we're besties now scene. I thought that was a jarring contrast in tone. It feels a little like Not Friends was the original ending, but the editors disliked it so much the author was forced to make a new ending which backtracks on the friendship breakup. Or maybe the author was trolling readers all along with the Greg and Rowley aren't friends anymore story. They had a similar breakup and reunion in book 5. I wish we could have seen things from Rowley's point of view, and I wish we had more resolution than they reunite in the last entry of the book. Rowley getting dumped and going back to hanging out with Greg could have been a 15-page storyline by itself. Could you imagine Greg trying to help Rowley get revenge on Abigail? Oh, that would have been funny. I would rather see a big resolution with Rowley and Greg than one of the other 15-page stories, like the shoe story or the body blanket story. The story of Greg improving his grades felt a little rushed to me. Most of it was about Greg going to some shady kids who sell science fair projects. Roderick's old science fair project is one of them. That just reminded me, Greg bought Roderick's old science fair project in book 2. Add that to the friendship drama, the counterfeit hero points, and the weird family member stories, and there were a lot of storylines in this book which felt recycled to me. I hope that's not why the author included the slumber pal joke about running out of ideas. Overall, it's good for the series. Greg's friendship problems are interesting, even if we've seen similar problems in earlier books. I wasn't a fan of the hard luck angle, or Greg using a magic 8 ball a lot. I actually found that to be kind of weird, and maybe just an excuse to have a lot of pictures which are just a black circle with a triangle inside. That is an easy picture to draw. I give Diary of a Wimpy Kid number 8, Hard Luck, a magic 8 out of 10.